Welcome to this episode of MassiveUX. Today we will be reviewing an e-commerce store called Sunkissed Scrunchies. I found this request for review on Reddit, and a number of people have already written back, giving some pretty good advice. So that's definitely worth a read through. But let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at Sunkissed Scrunchies. So part of the reason I picked this site to review is I like the fact that this is a product handmade by the creator. So this isn't a dropship site. This isn't reselling other products, which is nothing wrong with those, but I want to make sure to really help out the people who have put in the effort to build and create their own products or websites and are not just slapping together something on the fly, hoping to make a few bucks. So I really like I mentioned, I really like the product and what you're doing and making. So I have a number of suggestions after going through your site, looking at some of the products, and also doing some comparables and finding other similar businesses that I think you can learn from. So one of the most important aspects for people when they visit an e-commerce site is one, is this what I was looking for? Is this interesting to me? So is the product something that you're interested in? And two, can I trust this site? I mean, you're asking somebody to buy from you, give you money, give you their credit card. So there's a number of things that we can work on surrounding that proof of viability and that you're a real business and you're trustworthy. So anything from testimonials, that's really good. Getting testimonials from customers written out, getting photography from customers of them using your and wearing your product. We'll talk about a little bit more about that, especially that's a really good spot for your Instagram account. You need a larger site for one. So right now we have a homepage, we have a catalog page. Catalog is just a listing of all of your products. Right here on the homepage we have a hero image slider with just a couple of generic names for your products. You have some categories and then a subscribe newsletter and a very short about. So the first thing I would recommend is building out an entire about page. So talking about who you are, about yourself, how you got into creating these products, and so forth. And write out a good 3 or 4 paragraphs of content, put in some photos of yourself, and maybe like your workshop or your workbench, wherever it is that you work. I know you talk about, let's see, fabric remnants, so maybe you could show some photos of that type of stuff too, like of going to a store to pick up the fabric remnants, showing like a box full of remnants, like that kind of stuff. Tell the story behind the business. So there's really two that I think you could hit on, two about type of content. So one is just about, which could be about you specifically and maybe the business. I think you could also have a mission page, and where you're talking more about the sustainability and recycling and reuse of your product. That needs to be featured and help add some value to what you're creating. I think somebody on Reddit also said something about making that your distinguishing factor, and that's definitely true. We definitely need some more interesting content up here in the hero for when people first land. If they're not interested in a scrunchie or a hair doodad, I don't even know what they're called sometimes, or leopard print, we need something that's going to call out your unique value proposition and why your product is different than all the other scrunchies out there. So a couple things. So hero, one, there's a couple, I think you can make this layout and format work for your site, but this is also the kind of product that you really want to see some really big, beautiful photos. So I could see this being a full width, edge to edge image, making it a lot taller so that it takes up a bigger chunk of your screen hero section whenever somebody lands on the screen. I'm not loving this yellow up top. I would either probably make it just black and maybe not quite as tall if possible, so shrink it down some because it's not that important, or else make it white. And if you could add like a little border, like just a line border at the bottom, maybe something like that. Because the yellow is the only place that it's being used, and it's really a washed out color. I would recommend, if possible, just getting rid of login and create account. This isn't really the kind of website that somebody needs to do either one, so it's just adding noise. Same with search, get rid of search because you have a very limited amount of product. People aren't going to be, most likely are not going to be searching for something specific. And I don't even know what would come up. Let's see. Let's try leopard. I don't even know if I spelled that right. Let's just try hair. Okay, so like one item came up. This could just be the way the theme is set up as well. The theme is okay. You could look at a couple of other themes that might work better for what you're going for, but I think this could be fine for a theme. So you need to get a unique logo, and instead of just using the type, and that would help give you a little bit more validity and the look that you're more established than maybe you are just a few months. So there's a couple of ways that you can do that we're going to step into. So one, Sunkissed Scrunchies, I think that's fine as far as your web URL. If you could get something that was even shorter and just use Sunkissed, that would be even better. Maybe like if you're just you're mostly doing hair, but you do have some wrist. I don't know if you wear these on your wrist normally, like Sunkissed hair or Sunkissed store or something like that, where you're not necessarily locking yourself into the scrunchies category. But let's talk about the logos. So some ideas for how you could get another logo. I put together a couple thoughts. So just getting a simple typed logo would help boost your store, and even like having it in a different color, in a red or an orange. So here I just went to Google and I searched fonts. I came over here to dafont.com. You can select your, let's go step back out here. You can select your styles, and then you can get an idea of what those could look like. So let's see, I think I went to handwritten maybe. And here you can preview your text. So let's put Sunkissed. Let's bump that up. I'm going to make it as large as possible. Submit that. More options. Okay. So then this is going to give me a preview of what each of these typefaces looks like. So I could find one that I like. Like maybe it is something like this. It's a little bit more bubbly and fun. I don't do anything like this where it's just all caps and kind of like basic marker type. Do something interesting that's going to help it stand out some. This is kind of nice. It's nice and thick. Do something thicker. So that's another key point. Like this is too thin for a logo. This is really too thin for a logo and not distinguished enough. This is decent. If there's a heavier weight, I would prefer that. This is okay. And it's got kind of a rougher edge. I kind of like that. So you could download this. You could put it into a program, Photoshop, Illustrator, even Microsoft Word, or somewhere else online and create a font. You could also go to Google Fonts, a logo. And I did about the same thing. So I filtered based on display fonts and handwriting. I typed in my custom text, and then I could actually make these bigger. And then I can scroll through here. Don't do anything like this. That says Christmas, so definitely don't do Christmas. Most of these aren't really viable for what you're going for, but there's a couple that could fit. But for something like a logo, you can use a typeface or font that is different than what you're using elsewhere. I also, let's see, adding a simple icon or something could be a good way. So I threw a few through the name in my design program, started changing some of the type. This is just like a really simple way of how you could distinguish it besides just having type. Just like the idea of a sun. You don't have to have an actual sun with rays coming off of it, or you could do, just anything along those lines. So let's move on from the logo talk. I think that gives you a few ideas of what you could do. So let's talk about the photography for a moment. So you have decent photography. Um, I like that it's consistent. It is good looking photography. Um, and I get that since I'm assuming this is probably you. You're a redhead, sun-kissed. It all works together. But I think I would like to see a couple things as far as human poses. One, other styles of hair and other people as models. Mostly because you're probably not selling to just redheads. You're It's not a product that could just be sold to redheads or will be sold just to redheads. So other people are going to be interested in it. And so for that reason, I think it would be nice to see other models in the mix. And that could just be friends. You don't have to go hire professional models or do a professional photo shoot at all. And the other is I'd like to see more than just um, views of the back of the head. So I do want to walk through some other sample businesses that I think you can take some inspiration from. Uh, so here's one example, Stansberry. I just found it just searching for um, scrunchies online and doing a little bit of digging. But so these are nice. Like it obviously hers are more like turban headbands, so they're larger and they wrap around the whole head. But I think you can still do something similar with your scrunchies, even if they are just mostly in the back of your head. Um, Even if it's just like a three-quarter angle view or something like that. Second, what I think you could do for these images is put the scrunchies on a simpler background, because it really is about the the pattern and the color. And so when you have it on such a busy wicker chair background, it kind of detracts from your product. So you could you could do that easily either just by setting it on a large white cloth or a light colored cloth and doing a top-down shot or anything else. I think learning from other people is a really good way to better your product and your website. And so you can, like, whenever you look at other people's websites, you can see how they're designing things for their site, but also how they're shooting photos for their product. So let's take a couple of looks at other websites. I don't think these are great at all, but let's just take a look at them anyways. So I don't think you need to do any of this kind of stuff where you're setting up a decorated backdrop. Um, head People photos are always good. People like to see what it looks like when somebody similar to them is wearing your product. So blonde girls want to see blonde girls, black hair girls want to see black hair girls, that sort of thing. Um, so if you can have a variety of models throughout, not just then that would be great. Forever 21, this is an example of just like average, like it's just there, but it's at least easier to see the patterning and even the texture of some of the product. Let's see what this one was. Okay. Uh, Same kind of setup, like, models, soft backgrounds that aren't distracting. Um, it's decent. What I did like about this one a lot is the larger sized images. Um, it's a it's a it's actually taller and thinner, so it's actually taller than your standard portrait photo, which is interesting. definitely don't have to do that, but having a little bit more breathing room around the people and the product is nice. Uh, I could also see you doing, like for your initial product shot, having a closer shot so that it's larger and you can see that print a lot better. Because you really can't um, unless you zoom in on it. And I had another thought. Oh yeah, so something else you can do is having more than one shot of each product. So right now you just have one of the bananas for you scrunchie, one beach blue scrunchie, I believe. Um, Something that could be really nice is being consistent across your product shots. So like having like that a clean background with your product. It's a little bit closer so you can see the design better, and then adding that rollover hover effect, and it shows a human shot of that product. So an example, I went to go find something like this. So here you can see it's normally just this blue shirt on a white background. When the person hovers over it, they see a human up wearing it. Some themes have that built in, and then there's also ways that you could add that functionality to your website. This one's paid. You could probably find one that's not paid or just built into your theme. So I would check it, look into both of those. I'd also like to see all of your photos, at least the blocks, to be a lot larger. So make these like a 3-column grid instead of 4-column. That'll already look so much better. Um, Another thing, when you take your photos, I mean, obviously I already said cleaner background, simpler background, but make sure that you don't have like this right here, this heavy black shadow on one side. You could have cropped it to avoid that, but it's heavier on the left side, and you can see it throughout all of these pictures. I think your Instagram is probably one of your key social networks right here, right now, and you have some good photos on here. Like these are great. Same comments. Like I want to see more people, and I want to see more faces. People should be happy. People should enjoy wearing your product and showing it off. Just a quick note on a couple of these. Like this is not legible because it's white on a light pink. So this is fine. Like black on a lighter color. So just make sure that your images and your text are legible across all your websites and content. Speaking of text and typography, let's jump into one of these. You're using this handwritten marker script, which is okay. It's not my favorite all the time, but it kind of goes with your product. But what I would change is your primary um, body copy, and some of these other, like more from this collection, the dollar sign. Keep those just the simple sans serif, kind of like what you have here, and these two. That'll just help them distinguish a little bit, and using your special display or headline or decorative font as your headlines is gonna be a lot stronger. That way, when people are scrolling throughout, when they see that script or that handwritten looking font, they know that that's more of like a headline that's denoting a section or an area, versus it all being in that typeface. Um, okay, in general, I think that's a lot of options for you. Okay, one more homepage idea is two more things. One is on the homepage. I think you can scratch these categories. They don't really do much for me. One, new arrivals. That's probably not going to be an attractor for anyone unless there's just like a completely new collection that you've created that's completely different from anything else you've done. Scarf scrunchies, I think that's interesting, and maybe that could be farther down because these are a little bit different than um, your other products. And Save the Bees, let's touch on this in just a moment. But what I think you should do here is one, build up your hero section, bigger image, bigger tagline and value proposition, sales button, CTA button, and then just show a bunch of product. Um, like this website does. So this is good because when it comes to headbands or scrunchies or sunglasses, it's really about your customer, your site visitor, finding the one that speaks to them. Because all the scrunchies, a scrunchie is a scrunchie. They all look mostly alike in their form, but the pattern and the fabric is what differentiates them. So if I'm landing on this site and I see the photos, I'm like, okay, so there's red, there's yellow, there's blue, that's kind of distressed. Oh, there's black and white. I'm probably looking for like, hey, which one speaks to something that I want to wear or would be comfortable wearing? So having more photos quickly visible is easier to capture your visitor's attention and imagination. Whereas this is just new arrivals. There's a leopard. Okay, scarf scrunchies. I don't know what that is, honestly. Of course, I don't really know a whole lot about scrunchies in general, except that my wife has a ton. And then Save the Bees collection. So I want to see more product and more patterns and designs just straight off the bat. My next comment is on sales and giving. So one, like if you're doing free shipping or something, that's great. Boost it up some. Like free shipping for you don't have to necessarily just give away free shipping all the time. You could do free shipping for the month of July, and that way you're building a little bit of uh, limitation around something you're giving away for free. Free shipping with discount with code blank, something like that. Free shipping when you buy two products or more. The second comment is on the Save the Bees collection. 15% of profits will be donated to Greenpeace, Save the Bees. I think that's great. But I think it might, I don't know, actually, I don't know if that would drive people to choose one of these three designs over the others. It might, I don't know though. This is also the kind of thing that if you really want to push um, a special agenda, then you want to do that nice and big right here on the homepage. So bam, Save the Bees collection, we're donating profits, 15% of profits to the Save the Bees organization, whatever, and then some pictures of your products and going through the slider. Um, and also, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is the kind of thing that drives women to buy a certain product or not. That's a good question that I can investigate. Um, because you only have three options, that's what kind of makes me wonder. What you could do is similar to the free shipping in the month of July or something like that. You could be like, hey, for the month of July, 15% of all profits are going to Save the Bees. Here's a few of our special Save the Bees scrunchies, but 15% profits of all sales or all profits, 15% of all profits are going to the Save the Bees organization. So that could also give them a reason to purchase now. Overall, I think you have a great site, or I think you have a great product, an interesting site. I think you can definitely do a few things to really bump it up and make it really special. A couple last minute comments. Adding a favicon would be good. Um, your you really need to be marketing this pretty hard in Instagram and Facebook and other places because, or even Etsy. Um, I know this is your Shopify site and you want to sell on your own site. The hard part is that you have to get people to your website to sell to them. Whereas if you're on Etsy or some other platform similar to that, it kind of sucks because you have to pay a lot of fees, but you're playing inside of their marketplace. And so there are already customers on Etsy looking for products that could be similar to yours. And that could be even just a way to draw people in and create customers for you. So people may find you on Etsy but buy from your website, or people may buy something on Etsy and then come back to you later on your website. And you can do that by selling on Etsy. And when you ship them the product, give them a couple of extra little things in the box, like a business card or a little write up, handwritten stuff, a discount for your website specifically. So like, hey, go to sunkisscrunchies.com, use this code, and you'll get 20% off your next order. And that's applicable on your website versus not applicable on Etsy. So I hope some of this insight was interesting and useful to you, and continue on. And congratulations and good luck.